introduction here, so I'll go ahead and bring myself up here. Like I said, welcome to the Uncomfortable Bible Study. I am Vibe. I am taking you through episode 3. Very excited. We've done some format changes. We've got a bunch of things that we'll be going through before we start bringing on our guests. Do have to solve one quick audio problem on my side because I actually have the stream on a different window. So let's mute that. Perfect. So yeah, I'm Vibe. I'm here to take you guys through the Uncomfortable Bible Study. If this is the first time you guys are actually visiting, the whole idea behind this is I have other Christian friends, and we do Bible studies. Some of us do them online, and it is kind of an echo chamber because we're all within the same faith of that Christianity. And we kind of just try to support each other, understand each other's ideas in what we're reading in the scripture. However, it doesn't actually reflect the whole worldview. And I have a lot of questions when reading the Bible. Even though my faith is unshakable, my questions can get shooken. So I'll read some. My faith doesn't change, but my questions do expand. And I thought it would be really fun to have a format online where everybody can join in, both on the atheist, agnostic, other religions, and the Christianity side, and we can actually dig into these things and bounce ideas, thoughts, complaints, or praises across each other to get a better understanding. And for those watching, to help them understand where each of these parties come from in their train of thoughts. I am not a theologian. Sorry, I don't even know why I can't say that right now. Theologian. Or a preacher. I am not an expert. I do read the Bible and I do have questions, but I don't have answers for every verse. So I am actually here online asking questions to my fellow Christians and my fellow non-Christians in a way that I would like to think that Jesus would, right? He hung out with the taxpayers, which back then were considered grifters, maybe even thieves. They may take for the government, but they were taking beyond that. He hung out with women of the night. He did not necessarily hang out with other Christians as well. So in that manner, I'm not saying I am Jesus, but in that manner, I think this Uncomfortable Bible Study, removing the echo chamber and actually opening it up to everybody, is something really fun and unique to do. If you haven't checked out the other episodes, make sure to check out the channel that's in the top left of the screen. Let's see. There we go. Right there. Check that out, and you can see some of the episodes. They are evolving. We're trying to make it better and better. If you guys are speaking up in the chat, that even helps me make it better, letting me know what you guys like, what you guys do not like. So we are actually on episode 3. And in this episode, we're kind of in the final episode of just building blocks to getting into more controversial items on the Bible. We first started off with, like, where did the Bible come from? How can we authenticate its text? How can we authenticate the canons? Are there lost books out there that weren't included in the Bible? Why weren't they? Then in episode 2, we went into the divinity. Can the Bible itself claim to be divine? Or can we actually use history and the tracking of the books to find out if there is actually any basis for the divinity outside of just what the Bible claims to be? We are now jumping into the final episode when it comes to the building blocks before we start diving into some of the more serious singular topics of the Bible, which we'll go through in just a bit here. And in this one, it is flavors of the religions of Abraham. And we'll get into that a little bit if you don't know what that is. If you do, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. We are going to be adding on the front and the back of that a little diversity. Before we look at the different flavors that came from the Abrahamic religions, we're actually going to look at some of the other religions that were out there and that are believed in. And at the end, we're actually going to ask a question to our... So one of the things we're doing is we're setting up 2 teams, which I'm just about to talk about. So we've got Team 1 and Team 2. They have their names. We'll be directing to Team 2 about their value in the world with and without religion. So I'm pretty excited about that. But before we dive into the show, I do like to make sure this channel is protected. So I'm going to do a quick disclaimer here. So let's change our screen. You know, you do you. I'm not going to tell you not to be you, so I'm totally cool with that. I do sometimes also tend, when you guys start getting into the profanity, tend to throw a word in and out, because sometimes I just emulate the discussion that's happening there. But I do try my best to keep the words civil as much as I can. But definitely love the banter. So we got the disclaimer out of the way, and I wanted to talk about the new show format. So one of the things we're going to be doing a little bit different this time around is we did make two teams, or at least I made two teams. The first team is called the Fishermen. They're the fisher of men, and they are the ones that are of faith. Now, not all of us share the same version of Christianity or even the same views of Christianity, which means even our Christian panel is a little bit mixed up. Have that banter back and forth, where to see where we consolidate and where we diverge. So I really like that part of the fisherman team. The other side we have is the team wilderness. I kind of like to think of them as the Israelites that are still wandering in the desert, like the Israelites. They're in the wilderness. They don't have a path, but maybe they're on their way. We'll see. And part of these two teams, one of the differences we're going to do in that for this particular show is each pillar, and I already discussed the three that we're going to be talking. We're going to actually give a prompt. We'll bring up the fisherman crew first and give their responses. Then the wilderness, or team wilderness, let them do the responses. Then bring us all together to have a discussion about that. On the very last prompt, or the last pillar, we are going to give it to the team wilderness first, and then we'll pass it over to the fishermen, and once again open it up. Finally, after that, we'll open it to the chat. So far, I see a couple people here on chat. I just got a crown from Maryland. Welcome, Maryland. Glad to have you here. So yeah, that's kind of going to be the new format. And if we have to keep on changing the format to make it more informational, better engagement, things like that, we're going to be modifying the episodes as we go through them, and trying to make it the best. I'm listening to chat. I always hear chat wins first. So the more comments you guys throw out there, the better I can make the show. So I definitely encourage that chat engagement. I don't want to take anything from any of my panelists, but if you are watching somewhere else and you do have some things you want to contribute to the show, stay on the restream of this episode, but jump over to Vibe on YouTube, throw some comments in there so that I can actually register them, because I don't necessarily know what's happening on Glenn's channel or the Powder Dusty's channel, and I don't include those chats because they're not in my chats. Not trying to take any viewers from any of the other channels, but um, if you want your comments heard, make sure put myself on the screen here too. I am asking you guys, take a second right now, leave Glenn's channel, leave the Powdered Dusty's channel, come to my channel, hit the subscribe, hit the like, and then go back to your favorite streamer. Cool with you guys staying on that channel, but I am creating the content for them right now. So if you guys can give me a little bit of credit here, that'd be much appreciated. And then go back and chat away on your channels, but definitely come over. Do want to mention and actually plug all of, if you guys are like any of these guys, I'll post these at the end as well. If you love what Beth, Glenn, or John are saying on the fisherman side, definitely go check them out, subscribe, and like them as well. And then on the Team Wilderness side, same thing. If you're watching on somebody else's channel, go check out the Powdered Dusty, Radical Coder, Average Debate Enjoyer. All these guys are a part of this. They're making this show. Definitely want to give them huge credit for joining this panel and having these discussions with me every week. So really appreciative of all of them. We do have a returning special guest. Who is our special guest? Our returning special guest is none other than Cleaner409. So Cleaner, thank you so much for joining. Always looking forward to you engaging. Let me look in the back room here because we might actually, just in a little house cleaning here, we might be doing a change. John Mooseman has committed to every episode but not showing up to one. So we may be getting a new panelist. So John, if you're listening, or if any of John's listeners are out there, if he wants to stay on, he's got to show up today. Otherwise, sorry, brother, even if you're Christian, if you're not going to show up, you're not part of the panel. So this is your last call, brother, for jumping on. Yeah, so we've got that. Let's see, where am I at? All right, before we jump in, I always love to hear from our sponsor. So tonight's sponsor is of the Uncomfortable Bible Study, the Meaning-O-Meter app, the only app that tells you your life has any meaning at all. Simply select your religion, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, atheism, or still figuring it out, and watch the bar light up. Christians get eternal purpose, atheists get Netflix and vibes, and agnostics just get a spinning loading screen that says, please try again. Upgrade to the premium package and unlock bonus features like cosmic reassurance alerts and daily nihilism warnings. The Meaning-O-Meter, because who needs philosophy when you got an app for that? So as always, thank you to my sponsors. Now we're going to actually jumping into the first pillar. All right, so let me prep that. There we go. And move to my notes. All right, I want to open this up. This is actually something pretty cool, but I can't actually find an image of it. I can only find a poster that you can buy on Etsy. But I'm going to expand that poster and zoom in. Let's see if I can actually zoom my browser to get rid of the junk on the, no, it's just going to shrink it. All right. So I did mention, I wanted to talk about the world religion family tree. We've been sticking to Christianity. Shoot, if I move my mouse over here to reading, then I can't do that. This was pretty cool, but I'd like to see it get expanded. We know that there's the Abrahamic religion, and that from that we've got Judaism, then Christianity, and then Muslim. From even Judaism and Christianity, we have several trees of that. From Muslim or Islamic, we also have several trees of that. You could probably do a whole season on just that. But we actually have religions that happened way before that. And I do like, actually, I'm not showing this on the screen here. I do like how this actually kind of breaks out Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Islam really should fall under here just after Christianity and not under
Hinduism and Buddhism. I just think for the infographic, they kind of threw it over there. But there's a whole area that I'd love to see on here, and I have to move this because I can't actually quite read this. But this is, prehistoric religions, and from this we have a few different variations here. The two here are monotheistic, and this one actually is pluralistic religion or deities and gods. So from here, we're actually talking about the history of like the Greek gods and the European gods. So we have like Zeus, we have Thor, we have Odin, and there are actually people practicing these religions, and that did kind of split to the right. And there's not much information on there about this, but what is popularly in the world today is we do have Buddhism, we have Hinduism, and the Abrahamic religions. In South Asia, Hinduism and Buddhism kind of fall under the same thing, where we look at kind of the reincarnation of life, being one with the world. We have the Eastern religions like Taoism, and then we've got indigenous and tribal religions worldwide. We see these in African, Native American areas, diverse tribes, often spirit guided, definitely some crossover with Buddhism and Taoism in there, but also the multi-god type of view of the world. Persia has something that I'm not sure how to pronounce it exactly, which is Zoroastrianism. A struggle between good and evil just within the world. However, there is influence from Jewish religions on that. We have the Greco-Roman and European pagan religions, and this was what I was talking about before. You've got the Norse, you've got the Celtic, you've got the Greek and Roman gods in there, like Zeus and Apollo, or Odin and Thor. The Celtic ones are more nature gods. So we definitely have a lot of different variances there. And then, of course, we've got the new religions. You've got people like L. Ron Hubbard, who wrote Dianetics and basically is the founder of Scientology. We've got New Age neo-paganism, which includes like witchery and Wicca and things like that. People basically reviving the old pagan religions out there. So we have these different religions, and it's really interesting when we look at like the world is very diverse. And if we actually, I had a chart, and I don't actually have it up right now. If we look at the whole world right now, the three prominents are definitely Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And actually, Islam is rising on its numbers more than the other two at the moment, just in previous time. But we are going to go into discussion of the different Abrahamic faiths in the next pillar. But looking at all these different religions that we have out there before Christianity or even during Christianity, and how they rose. We had some discussions last week about some of this stuff. Did Catholicism or did Judaism actually inherit from some of these different religions? Did they steal, or did the other ones steal from that? Were there stepping stones? It's a really interesting conversation. So with that, I'm actually going to open it up because once again, I am, like I said, I'm not a professor here on any of this stuff. This is just kind of like looking at the worldview and actually accounting that these actually all exist, and people are Wicca. They are still following Odin. They are Jews. They are Muslims. They're everywhere, right? And out of all of us religious people, we have to ask ourselves, am I in the right religion? Or maybe there's a different way we can look at that. So I would kind of like to look at, let's see if I can go back here, or do I need to open a new window? Yes. Okay, here we go.
Didn't have time to format all these, but it's okay if they're white. They're still getting the point together. With the non-Abrahamic religions, I actually did want to ask our fishers a few questions and get their responses from it, and I'll bring them up. Before you actually give an answer, maybe you could actually introduce yourself really quick, 30 seconds, and then plant into any of these particular questions. Once we go through you three or you two, depending on how many here in the back chat, we'll then go into Team Wilderness, and then we'll come together here. So the questions I actually kind of wanted to ask based on these things is, could God have allowed or planted non-Abrahamic religions as stepping stones leading to the final story of Christianity? Now, I understand some faiths of Christianity would say, well, the Bible is a timeline, and anything outside of that isn't true. However, maybe it was planted mentally. Maybe it was planted prior to the whole idea of us and Abraham actually coming in and making the teachings. The second idea behind this is, are non-Abrahamic religions entirely human invention, or do they reflect humanity's search for the same divine truth? And then the final one is, does the Bible's account of history perfectly reflect human religious development? This kind of also goes to the timeline, right? So Adam and Eve absolutely happened, and then a few hundred years later, we're at Abraham, and there's a timeline. The beginning of the world was at this time. Or is religion simply mankind creating God in its own image? It's kind of a two-part question, where the simple question is, did God create man, or did man create God, which then created man? Did we need to create God? So I'm going to throw those out to our faith side first. And so I'm going to bring up, let's see who we got back here. We got Glenn, we got Beth, and Cleaner. I'm pretty sure you're on our side here, but I do know that you have a different view. But since we were outbalanced last week, I'm putting you on our team. So let's see. We've got, Glenn, Beth, and Cleaner. And let's just see if I can actually make you guys bigger now. I think I have to do this first. There we go. Welcome, panel. We got Glenn on the top here. So, Glenn, do you have any insight or ideas on the craziness I just threw up on the screen?
Yeah. So, like, to answer your question, could God have planted non-Abrahamic religions as a stepping stone? I would say no. God didn't plant rival religions, but he does overrule like everything. So he knows that people are going to fall short, and he allows them to have these rival religions. But no, he did not create them. Scripture says that, like, nations will walk away on their own ways, yet God still left witnesses in creation and providence, right? We understand that God didn't plant these, but used like other religions to help expose people's hunger and actually draw them to him. Just like we've seen many Muslims convert from Christianity, or from Muslim to Islam to Christianity, and because they had this longing, this yearning for the truth. To answer your second question, are non-Abrahamic religions human inventions or part of the same search for divine truth? I would say both. It's they have real longing and real like desire to know God. I think we all do. I think we have this like piece of the puzzle called the God piece missing in our hearts, and I think we all have this desire to search for it, and we try to fill it with a lot of different things, whether it's drugs, money, women, just accomplishments, family. Like, we try to fit, make this spice like whole, and there's only one part that actually could fit that, and that's God, or at least the relationship with God. And then, does the Bible perfectly reflect humans' religious development? Is that the question, right?
Yeah, I mean, because there are two theologies there in Christianity, and I don't think it's the Orthodox or the Catholic view. Well, the Orthodox and Catholic would be, and Judaism would be, it's a timeline from a specific time, versus from a Protestant view, you could say, hey, God created the world in 6 days, but that could have been over 1,000 year period or 1,000,000 or 1 billion year period where he created light. It's a dumbed down version of 7 days of the
Yeah.
whole
So
creation of the universe, right?
I mean, the best way to I would say scripture isn't like a record of man climbing to God. It's the other way around. It's, God descending onto man. So it's not, I don't think it's so linear as we may think.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But
All
yeah,
right, great.
that's what I got it. That's all I could add to it.
I love that though. I mean, and also just the whole like there's other religions in what we talk about in Christianity all the time, which is money. Um, some people just have that drive for more money. Maybe their God isn't money. Maybe their God is actually sex. But they look like they're driving for money because they feel like the more money they make, the more women they can appropriate, right? And it's where are you focusing your direction and your faith? Like my
Well,
faith is in my,
where your heart lies, right? Like what's the desires of your heart, your mouth will speak on it. Like, so if you're always talking about money, you're always talking about vagina, like you're always pursuing it, hey, then that's really what your heart wants, right? And that's what it's perverted by. Now, it doesn't mean it's a good thing. I mean, more money, more problems, more bitches, more headaches. That's what I would think. But it's everything's right when it's in its place. Like money's not a bad thing. It's the love of money that's the bad thing. I just look if you look at money as it's a utility, then it's not a bad thing.
I would agree with that. All right, let's hand it over to Beth. I saw her unmute, so I think she was kind of ready to chime in. You are unmuted, so I know you're there, but I don't hear you. All right, she's trying to fix that. So, Cleaner, you're up.
When we're talking about the differentiation between religions and whether or not God could have put them here, um, I I think that it is truly beside the point as far as whether or not He put them here or put them in our minds or whatever to give us other views. I think what it would come down to would be the intent that we have towards others and towards what we're doing, whether we have good or bad intent. That's how we're going to be judged. So, some people say it's what's in your heart. Well, it's not necessarily what's in your heart. I mean, I don't necessarily disagree, depending on how they're saying it, like what they mean when they say you're measured on what's in your heart. But I think it's just more the intent. If you intend to do good, then you will be judged as doing good in an action. If you intend on doing bad, you'll be judged as doing bad in an action. But I think that some of these religions kind of prescribe things a little differently, and they say, for instance, like the path to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, that's literally not correct. The path to hell is not paved with good intentions, it's paved with bad intentions. If you have good intentions, you go to heaven. Like, I mean, that would be what we would assume based off of what we've been prescribed from God. So I think that there are differences in the religions, and we can even look at some where they say some things that are completely against what God encoded us human beings and all life in the universe to have as a baseline. And this is the basis for my moral understanding, the by and large moral that I have, that I hold, the understanding I hold for the world, which is that We will always strive to achieve things that adhere to the two main functions of life, survival and reproduction. God coded that in us and in every living thing. And so if a religion doesn't adhere to those, I would say it's not a true religion.
All right. Thank you, Cleaner. And Beth, I know you were trying to jump in there. We got you back. Let's see if we can hear you.
Slight technical difficulties. Sorry about that.
You're in.
I thought at first it was just my camera that was not going to work. And so that's interesting. Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yes, I'm going. Sorry. Jesus, Glenn. So could God have planted, I had the questions up here, so sorry I lost them. Have essentially planted okay. So I think that when it comes down to this, it's hard to say if it's, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily planted, right? Because we did have the rebellions that took place in heaven, and those, of course, at least from my opinion, after reading multiple texts, kind of line up where a lot of stuff goes. And I think that when you start getting humans together, they start putting their own spin on it, and this is why we get Judaism and Islam and these different pathways that they go through. So I think it's more of man taking God's word and making it more of our own than what it originally was. And that kind of plays into the second question too, because I do think human beings are searching for, are always searching for, where do we come from? How are we here? Why are we here? And so when we end up with these texts that we are working off of and going off of, and these ideologies, there is human twists that are put to it, right? When it comes down to does history perfectly reflect human religious development or mankind creating God? Me? Oh, vibe. Oh.
I like that.
Yeah, we heard you. Real quick on the last one though. Yeah, it's a bit of both, I think. Where what was this? I lost my train of thought. Thanks, Glenn. We heard you. It's okay. The woman's done speaking. I'll remember it later.
All right. So we just went through the fisherman. Now we go to Team Wilderness here. And so I'm going to remove you guys, and then we'll bring everybody together here. So let's get rid of Cleaner. Let's get rid of Glenn. He's like, no.
It's fall.
And then we got, you had to wait a long time. And I know you're impatient sitting backstage. I was like, oh, there we go. No, I'm paying attention to the main chat, not what you guys say. So, yeah, look at that. Hey, but it's yours, right? I'm giving you guys your platform now. All right, let's bring those back up. I mean, do you have any thoughts on the other religions out there in Christianity? Well, I mean, maybe I could change your mind a little bit in that I'm. This is actually my channel, right? I am Christian, and I'm actually asking the question. Yep. Wait, Judaism? Well, I guess you could ask the Mormons, because they would say Christianity was a path to Mormonism. Well, I'm giving you an answer that, I mean, I believe there was an end of the book. And if I believe that the word is divine, you know what? Actually, I need to learn how to run this show. This would be bringing everybody in, but I will give you an answer. But I'm going to pause it, because this section with you guys on there is to give your thoughts without debate from me, or any from our side. So I apologize. You have anything else you want to address on that? I'm not going to answer. I'll answer it when I bring everybody on. That makes sense. I mean, I'll give credit to that. All right. By the way, I know that Dusty, your name's Tyler, and I know Tyler, your name or AV debate enjoyer is also Tyler. So like Taylor. Oh, so we got Taylor and Tyler. Okay. I don't know if that's going to be confusing for people, so I'm just going to call you Dusty and you Enjoyer. Enjoyer, you're muted.
You're not working?
Now you are.
Okay, I just had to reset my microphone. So, I would.
You are a bit low on your volume, though.
Oh, okay. So,
Better.
that's just I'm so close to my camera right now. I just don't want my face to be like this. Um, now that I am of the belief that all religions are man-made, but logically, if you look at the question and you're trying to rule out using the process of elimination, you could say this is a feasible argument, I guess, at first glance, prima facie, but in likelihood, probably not. I would say that these other religions probably came from a different place, because why would you create these stepping stones and then as soon as Christianity is established and realized, say all those stepping stones are actually blasphemy and a bad thing and they're false idols and why should you worship them? You're telling people, like, this would be like the stepping stones would be like telling people, look, this is okay to practice up until it's not anymore. It just doesn't make logical sense when you think about it on the grand scheme, unless Christianity endorsed you being Islamic because at least you found a God, an Abrahamic God or something like that. And I don't see that as the case as much. I guess versus atheism maybe, but just generally not so much. Question 2, are non-Abrahamic religions entirely human inventions, or do they reflect humanity's search for the same divine truth? I think all religions are all human inventions. So I do think they also not only human truth, but they seek to fill some void a lot of people have. They help people look for directions, social order, stories to tell your kids to keep them to behave, offer guidance to those in gray areas. And the final, I think, is the most important, is people without integrity. Religion not forces that integrity on them, but gives them an incentive system to where if you don't have integrity, you don't need it because there's always somebody watching. It's like pseudo integrity. So I would say that all of them are kind of humanity's search for not just a divine truth and more knowledge, but also conformity as well. And the Bible's a kind of history perfectly reflect religious development. Yes, I would say the Bible, its progression through the things that were added and removed at certain times, and how you can see like this was added then, and this is the way that their civilization worked with slavery, and then slavery became taboo, was in the religion and in the culture, and you can see the biblical messages shift to kind of embrace the new morality of society. I would say that the Bible does a pretty good job as telling us how human beings morally have evolved over time. Or is religion simply mankind creating gods in its own image? I don't think the two are mutually exclusive so much. I would say the Bible reflecting it is more the Bible acting as historical context to see what civilizations believed at the time is all. And, you know, maybe searching for something greater. So,
all right. Thank you so much. So
not to comment to anything related with the Bible, only my channel. I think right now would be a really good time for a video when I bring everybody together. But I don't make videos, so if I got anybody out there that is watching that wants to do some cool like transition videos, hit me up, because I would love for somebody to like create something really cool right now. But I am going to bring everybody up. But I do want to thank Steelman. I'm glad you're out there. I did see that you have a prescription for all of us. Also, Joe Cool. I know we've been on panels together. Smoking Auditor. Thank you for coming from Dusty's channel, but go back because I don't want to steal his viewers. But thank you for the like and the subscribe. Let's see who else is in there. Yeah, too many to read here. Due diligence. Thank you for the subscription as well. Everything counts here for me because there's certain things I need to unlock on YouTube, and I need you guys to help me unlock those. So let's bring everybody up together. And if anybody has any comments on what each other said there, you guys are more than welcome. I will just start off because I did actually promise Dusty a response on the stepping stones. I actually had some Christians say that, yeah, there was Adam and Eve, and Adam and Eve is kind of a evolution story, right, of humanity. Now, I'm not saying I prescribe to this. I'm just saying it is something that somebody else told me about. And that some of these multi-god pagan religions out there, this actually addresses Tyler too. And once again, I'm not condoning this particular theory, but said that these were paths that God said humanity's at this point in their lives. They're not really, they can understand a rain god and they can understand a sun god, but they can't understand a unified God yet because they're still hunting and gathering. And these were part of like the evolution to getting there. When it comes to stepping stones. But to get to your final point, as far as Christianity being a stepping stone to, let's say, Mormonism, and then Mormonism being a stepping stone to something else, I think none of the other religions basically said, this is the end. This is the word. This is it. It's unaltered. Christianity is the only one that basically said, here is our divine objective truth. And from these objective truths, we are not changing. And then when it comes to like humans inventing God, it's really interesting because that's actually us giving up being gods ourselves. So those who have not invented and accepted God in Taylor's version, right, have basically said, you know what? I know I can't be God of this world. I have to make up a God so that I can have something to follow. I don't think that's actually them making up a God. I think it's something that's in their heart, speaking to them, saying, you know what, I am not in control of my life. There is something greater. There is something unexplained. There is something new, supernatural. Otherwise, anything else is just saying, I'm God. And we know you're not. So, I mean, that would be a couple of things that I would address on what you guys said. But I'll open up to the panel to chime in on any of those items there.
Well, I would say that, like, out of all religions, out of all major world religions, right, there's only one that says "follow me." You know, like Gandhi says, "Do these things." You know, the fat, man. Buddha says, "If you do these things, you'll live a good life." Jesus says, "Follow me." The only way into the Father is through me. So, mirror me. That's also very unique from all the other world religions.
Yeah, but Islam says Islam is the only one true religion. Allah Akbar, death to America.
Yeah,
too.
but they do things to little babies, little girls. So,
And not just that, but they also call for a lot of violence, right? And that's another thing that we can look at is the prescriptions that are called for within each of these ideologies. You have some that called for human sacrifice, some that, are, as Tyler just said, is calling for the end of other nations and other religions. And so I think we can look to that too.
Well, that's kind of what I was referencing when I was saying I have a firm belief that God created life. And if God created life and the two main drivers of life are survival and reproduction, then any religion that does not adhere to survival and reproduction of us as a society as a whole would necessarily be a false religion. because it wouldn't be following the doctrine that God put within us. Even if you don't believe in God, you could say the religious doctrine was false because it doesn't aspire to our two main drivers of life.
I actually agree with Vibe here.
I think there's a lot of things we can look at as even, like you were talking about, kind of the more constructed religions as far as money goes and sex goes and all of those things. When we start looking at actual theologies, there's a lot more to it than I think people give it credit for. Even if you break it down to its base and you want to start looking at, who do some of these theologies worship, you can trace all of it right back to a lot of like ancient Jewish mysticism and stories, as far as even, like I said in mine, the second rebellion in heaven led to the fall of the Watchers, which actually kind of account for even the pagan gods, right? Anybody?
I mean, we do have accounts when Moses is in Egypt going against Pharaoh, right? Where God himself is talking to Moses and actually confirming that they believe in multiple gods and false gods. And something that is interesting in that is the magicians actually are able to do some magic themselves. And that almost makes me feel like if I were to go into like sci-fi biblical world, we could say there were multiple gods, and then God went and fought like all the other gods because he was stronger. He had stronger beliefs, and he was able to remove those gods. Now, I don't believe that. That's a science fiction story I'm telling. But he is acknowledging that there's these other pieces, which kind of goes to the stepping stones, right? If God knows about these other gods, why did he allow those other gods to happen in the first place? Why did he come at this particular time to all the people and say, okay, I know you guys have these gods, but I'm going to prove you once and for all why you're wrong, even though he's still proving it today.
You can even look at ancient Egypt, and I was looking back to some of their pre-dynastic roots. And even back in the very beginning, they were monotheistic, where there was one God who created man from the silt, breathed life into him, and was responsible for every life that was born. And it's from that God that all of their other gods are created from. So we can take this same idea and apply it to the story with the Watchers and even the story with Lucifer, and see where just because we call it a god doesn't necessarily mean that it's a god. It could just be a step above human. For instance, angels. They do have eternal life. They are superhuman. They are, they do have a connection with the great divine.
I was going to ask that question. So, like when we're talking about Nephilim and
Yes.
giants of God and angels, could those all be basically demigods?
That's the way that I see it, is that those are the demigods, including right down to, we have the mythology where, Zeus has babies with women on earth, and it creates the men of renown, your Hercules and Achilles and all of them. And that actually mirrors the story of the Nephilim that we find within ancient Jewish cultures. So it's really the same story. It's just a matter of who's telling it, right?
Well, so then I would have a question coming from a non-Christian view by saying, how can we differentiate our Christian God with, if we say the Nephilim, the angels are like demigods, from the previous religions? And how did the Christians not just inherit that, refine it, and make it better with our new version, as Taylor said, with our new understanding of God that we created?
Well, you're talking about Christianity. Now, if you look back into, like I said, you can go all the way back to like the deepest Judaic roots. We're talking
How deep?
So deep. It goes so deep.
That deep.
So, yeah, you're not going to make me forget my place. Don't even think about
That's the religious side talking like this,
Yep.
mind you.
it. You did say it appropriate. Anyways, if you go back into the ancient Judaic roots like Kabbalah and things along those lines, This is where we find the texts for these stories. And they would, even the book of Jubilees and the book of Enoch, which I recognize a lot of Christian churches do not give credence to, but they are included in some Christian canons. And that's for a reason. That's because these are things that do exist. However, if you start talking to especially more there's some Christian sects, if you talk to them, they'll tell you there's no such thing as demonic possession or demonic influence or even demons at all. So that's kind of undoing what we have in scripture completely.
But nobody's denying that all these myths have intertwined and influenced each other. Like, I think everybody's cool with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I don't think everybody's cool with that, to be honest. I mean, I don't
You-
think the Jews are. I don't
Who's
think
not cool with it on the
Christians are.
panel?
So vibe, what you would want to look at when it comes down to, I actually wrote it down because I was looking it up earlier. Where is it? Like I said, there's the Book of Enoch, which mentions everything I'm talking about. There's Aramaic fragments from the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Book of Giants, the Genesis Apocryphon, the Book of Jubilees, and then there was actually an entire theology called Manichaeism, and it came with Damascus documents and Kabbalah. So this is like way deep Judaic roots. It stemmed off from Judaism, where Judaism came straight down through in the way that we know it today. These were more obscure branches of it, and these branches do still exist. I mean, Kabbalah is still practiced to this day, and they absolutely believe everything that I'm telling you now. And these are myths and legends and texts that were passed down since the very beginning.
All right, so Glenn, I'm going to ask if you have anything to pipe in here, knowing some of your background. When you have a man coming to you questioning Christianity and brings these type of things up, what do you tell him?
Honestly, I don't give a lot of credit to the Dead Sea Scrolls. I mean, well, I do give credit to the Dead Sea Scrolls, but not a lot of credit to the Book of Enoch. It was not canonized. I studied why they canonized things the way that they did, and I see that being pretty sound. And because of that, I just don't. I'm like, there's a lot of books out there that says a lot of stuff, but these are what has been proven to be, like hard to. You can't not refute this. Everything else you can refute this, because these other books do not corroborate with the rest of the narrative. They actually speak different. Like even like Book of Thomas, right, talks about Jesus in a much more different light than the rest of the books, the other Gospels do.
Yeah, and you did miss the last episode, but I actually did go into some of this, and I actually went through the canonization process from the first writings and how just the writings before we actually came up with the Torah became accepted and spread, all the way to the canonization of the Jewish Bible, which the Christians then adopted, which then Jesus read from. And I actually use that as kind of a proof for God, kind of in the St. Thomas Aquinas matter, where if we actually go through history and see that we can prove that God or Paul existed and Paul wrote these letters, and then we can prove these letters that Paul wrote and go back to the Gospels and that Jesus read from those things, that we have a pretty good historical accuracy, which we can't do with any of the other pagan religions out there. And I kind of agree with you. And I think this is going to be a really big topic for angels and Nephilim, in that we have to kind of look at Enoch just to see where modern some of these things come from, even if we don't include it in the
look
canon.
at it. But I'm just saying, I don't. Like I said, it's not saying that it's nothing not good to look at. I just don't give it credit.
Yeah, and I actually think, and looking at Enoch, and I'm still super excited to get to that episode, that I can actually look at Nephilim and angels with the current canon and actually get, in my sense, a better understanding of what I believe is meant by that.
I agree.
And then if I add in Enoch, I think it actually skews the whole message. And I do have a good sense of that because I've known Beth for a long time. When Beth's like, Oh.
Yeah, in fact, I mean, just out of curiosity, how many people on the panel have read Enoch or even the Book of Thomas? Since we're bringing that one up,
I'll be the first one to admit I have read Enoch. I have not read the Book of Thomas. I did do some studying on why it was dismissed. The evidence seemed pretty strong on why it should be dismissed, with names, the area it was produced, the amount of spread, kind of similar to Enoch. But so, I mean, I can read it, and one of my understandings is like the end of it also goes like is talking about how Jesus is saying that women can't get to heaven, but because this is such a good woman, I will convert this woman to a man so she can have the same heavenly kingdom that men can get, which doesn't go by any of the other words. But once again, I have not read the book word for word or the translations, so I could have been reading a biased version online.
it's kind of a cherry pick because essentially what he's saying is throughout it is that we're not so when we look at one another, we're supposed to treat each other only based on the light that's in each of us that we get from God, right? I do highly recommend reading it because I mean, after I've read it a couple times and I get kind of confused with the reasoning that's given for why it's not looked at more. I do understand. I'm not going to argue canonization. I know you did it last week. I'm so sorry. I fell asleep. I fell asleep during that whole argument over something silly that had nothing to do with what we were talking about.
It was exciting.
I know. I missed all the good stuff because I fell asleep during the lane.
So I think Team Wilderness is like, great. The Christians are arguing amongst themselves right now, but I actually think we're coming to some consistency too. I think Glenn and I have some consistency. I want to move on to the next topic, but
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if Cleaner wants to throw anything else in there before I do.
No, I think whether or not it has any differentiation between the different religions, like whether or not one religion says this thing's good, that thing's bad, all of that is the thing that we would be coming to in understanding which one would be the pinnacle religion for society to try and adopt so that we can all live in harmony. But having all of these different religions necessarily does create separation and diversity within our society, our global society. And some of these religions even go so far as to breed in intolerance, subjugation, and overthrowing other religions. So, I mean, I think what it comes down to is we'll have to figure out what the best prescription is for life based off of our understanding of reality, and then take the religion that adheres to that.
Oh, well said. I mean, I do like how you did make a statement about something that Flo was in agreement with, and this is the one thing I'm just going to mention outside of religion and outside a non-religion, just about Cleaner. Something I like about him. He'll debate a point and he'll concede anything. Like we have this tendency that if we're going to debate something, even if we know that is a good counter argument, we'll still fight against it, even if we know it's a good counter argument. Cleaner will never do that. Just for anybody else that's watching, he'll just
Cleaner just fights to fight.
Make the points clean.
Cleaner will be the first convert to the wilderness tribe. Not all who wander are lost, and I think that Cleaner's got too much.
Are you still recruiting for your cult?
I am. I still do require that you get baptized on screen.
Well, here's something else that you need for your cult is you need an actual hat, and you don't. It can't be called. It can't be called the Pope hat. You have to, if you're going to do your own religion, you've got to be a little bit more original.
Yeah, you can't go with the Catholic hat. That's already a cult.
I recommend that as
we don't need to hear
your religion, that you use that godly power to be much more creative.
Here at Cult State, we don't feel the need to reinvent the wheel.
At Cult State.
I like that. That's good.
All right. Well, anyways, guys.
One more thing about that. I wanted to add one more point in that. We also have to realize the apostles did not treat Enoch as any authoritative work either. So you have to count that in as well because they never referred to any of it.
There is one passage that is.
I know in
canon.
Jude. In Jude, that's about it. But I mean, everyone else, no. So like, you have to factor that in.
But I mean, he was mentioned at least once, though. So I mean, shouldn't it be in the canon so we can read it and understand what Jude was talking about when he was referencing Enoch? We can understand the man's state of mind with his writings and be like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Like, I think like it's good to read it to get a more context of what was going on, during that time, and how like you actually get more of a Jewish apocalyptic view of the world and see how that actually impacted the way Christians actually adopted, like, in my opinion, like the end times theology.
Right. Yeah, that was more a contrarian question, but I do appreciate the engagement.
You're welcome.
That might have to be one of the conversations we do in season 2, is really dig into the books that were excluded. And not hidden, by the way. They were documented which books were excluded, but I think that would be a really fun conversation. I am going to move on to the next topic, but I did promise something to Glenn here that I want to share to everybody out there. This is something Glenn's been working on.
Oh, I was like, what did you promise me?
Yeah, this is what I promised you here.
Yes, sir.
Interesting name for a Christian organization.
Okay, so that was going to be the first thing I wanted to say. So the Sons of Thor is actually all about lifting men. And one of the men, and Glenn can correct me after this, but Glenn actually told me the whole story. We've been talking. His name was Thor. And this was one of the men when we're dealing with people online that we're just like, this person has no hope. And we give up on them and we kick them off channel and things like that. I've actually seen Glenn keep them on channel and keep talking to them. And he's actually made points where he's like, hey, if it wasn't for this guy named
Glenn is
Thor,
a sadist.
if it wasn't for this guy named Thor, always believe in me, even no matter how many times I kept on messing up, I wouldn't be where I am today. And that man, unfortunately, has passed, and he was there at the end with him, and he's carrying on a man named Thor's tradition of lifting men out of wherever hopeless point they are in lives, and teaching them to rise up, to first take care of themselves, to rely on other men. In the Christian culture, we actually say that iron sharpens iron. Men can make men better. This actually applies to women as well. Women can make women better.
It says in Titus 2.
Yeah. And I'll stop there, but it's something I am trying to help him support and help him build. And I don't know, Glenn, if there's certain things underneath this, like the House of Matthew, which is helping get men sober.
So, I mean,
and
there are
like
all
that.
the projects on the project tab. You'll see all the projects that we're going to be working with and our projects that we're trying to complete and work on. But I want to say that what was great was that I had the honor to lead Thor back to Christ when he asked me back in February. He was part of remember the Way Ministry back in the day?
Yes.
Yeah, he was part of them, and then he walked away from faith, and he adopted more of his I guess you could say like his heritage faith, which was the Norse mythology. And in February, I mean, me and him used to go back and forth all the time. We would argue about religion. He banned me from talking about religion on stream one time. That was pretty funny. So for him to ask me if I could lead him in prayer, that was a huge honor. And I was glad I got to be there to help him do that and continue this mission. I mean, his name is really Thor, so it's not like we're giving a nod to the Norse mythology or anything. No, his name was really Thor. So
that hammer might be a bit of a nod.
Yeah, well, it's the hammer that he had as a necklace.
I'm just saying, it might be a little bit of a nod.
Maybe just a little nod like that. Just a little tiny.
Just the tip. Just the tip.
Yeah.
To be quite neutral, I mean, if you are religious or not, it doesn't matter. The sons of Thor are there to help men.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if you're Christian, Catholic, whatever you are, if you're needing help. I can tell you right now, I've sat with Glenn on panels before, and he's talked people through stuff, and we've had really good conversations with people trying to help them through. And he's a great man for getting you in touch with somebody that knows how to deal with whatever it is that you got a problem with in life. I mean, you could do monumentally worse by going anywhere else. So this guy right here, I would say, if you have a real problem in life, hit him up.
I appreciate that, Cleaner, especially coming from you. You are a very well-spoken and well-thought-out man. So, I mean, that's an honor. Thank you for the kind words.
And I do want to say, everybody on this panel has actually extended their generosity to me, being a YouTube subscriber with under 100 subscribers, of even showing up here when you guys have great shows and everything like that. So if anybody wants me to promote something that I think is worthy, if it's going to be something I don't think is worthy, I'm not doing it on my channel. But I am here to help you guys, just like you guys are here to help me. So I will not be advertising vibrators, Dusty. But
I was just about to say anything's a dildo if you're brave enough.
You're welcome. I have 106 subscribers on YouTube, so you're welcome for my time.
yes. So, but I anything that it doesn't have to be Christian. Anything that is of value to you guys, I'm going to promote the heck out of you guys. So you have my gratitude. And Glenn was one of the first people to reach back to me. Dusty was too. So I just want to always extend that gratitude to you guys. So thank you. Now, moving on to the next section, if you guys are cool with that.
Let's go.
All right. Let's hide that and bring us all back. And actually, I'm just going to dump all of you guys for a moment. I know Dusty hates it because he loves showing things on screen. But I'm going to take that away from him. Anyways, so yeah, the next piece and the next pillar and the next group of questions that I wanted to bring up with you guys is we've talked about all religions, worldwide religions outside the Abrahamic religions. And we have Judaism. And for anybody that's out there that doesn't really understand all this is the very first religion out there. This is the Adam and Eve, Genesis. Everything started right there. In that religion, they did prophesize that there would be a savior coming, and that they especially in Isaiah, they talk about this new king coming to the land. And this is actually where we get, there were diversions within Judaism. So we do have Orthodox Judaism, we have conservative Judaism, and even prior to Christ, we did have different versions of Judaism and some different sects. But they were the first ones to basically define the Torah and some of the Psalms, and I forgot which other one it was, which all three of the major religions that split from Abraham all actually basically agree on. So Islam, Judaism, and Christianity all accept the first 6 books. We accept most of Psalms, and eventually, before we created the Christian canon, there was the final canon from the Jews, which the Christians then accepted, and Jesus accepted as the final. Some of the differences in the book is they combine some books. There's some differences, but this is the first variation of, or the first version of Christianity came that Jesus Christ came, which was the prophecy set by Judaism. A lot of Jews actually said it matches Christianity. It upholds to all the standards of that, and did convert. It opened the religiosity to all of mankind. Anybody can act. The door to the club is now open to anybody, and it's free. Unless you say being a good man isn't free. Like, I need to be a bad man and still get into this club.
the entry is free, and what you get after that is internal, right? Which actually is going to end to our last question when it comes to eternal, because for us that have faith, we have an eternal worldview. From the other side, you have a worm's worldview where when it's done, it's done. So we basically have Judaism and Christianity, which in a sense to me as a Christian is one and the same. Judaism was the original promises of God, and Christianity is those promises being fulfilled. And basically concluded, end of story. Goes to kind of Potter Dusty's original question, like, why isn't Christianity a stepping stone? Based on Judaism, there was one stepping stone written in the Old Testament, and it hadn't been fulfilled yet. When the New Testament was written and the teachings of Jesus was written, then there was no new stepping stone. There was no place in what we read today that says, minus Revelations, that there's another book to be written or another story to be told. All this transpired and happened before Islam. Islam actually came, and I mentioned this in the canonization as well, in 7th century, which is much later than the finalization of Christianity and the finalization of, well, I mean, Judaism was finalized before Christianity. Christianity was then finalized. That's basically the end of the story. And then Islam came with new books. As a Christian, I would actually kind of look at that as the same as Mormonism, right? And Jehovah's Witness. We had a conclusion to the story, but mankind decided to create some different sects and different versions of Christianity. Now we can go on a whole nother conversation of, now we have Orthodox, which Orthodoxy actually is not Eastern Orthodox. When we look at the original formation of Christianity, Eastern Orthodox became Eastern Orthodox during the schisms, which we had a few between like 800 and 1000. And they still hold some similarities, but it was really all about like the leadership of the church. And where did this come from? We had Luther, and then we had the Protestants, which was basically saying, wait a second, we've got all this oral tradition, but we have a book which we say is divine. And pretty much the whole prescription is in the book, and that's really all we need. It was the story of Jesus saying, like, we don't need a church, we just need people, and I am the church. We don't need this hierarchy to the extent of what we see in Catholicism and Orthodoxy. This is, once again, probably one of these conversations that Tyler and Dusty are going to love, because we already have splits within our own religion. I know that Glenn and I are on the same. This is why I really was hoping that John was going to be on here, because he's Lutheran. I think he's Lutheran. He could really give some good insight in here on some of the different variances. But given that, right, I got to remove this screen first. It prompts a whole new set of questions. Which is divergence within the Abrahamic faiths here. So I'll share this. I'm not going to add my other webcams. Get back to that. So if Judaism, Christianity, and Islam all claim Abraham, do their divergence strengthen or weaken Christianity's truth claims? Second piece is, can all Abrahamic religions be right at the same time, or must only one hold truth? Right. And I definitely have my opinions on there. And I tried to write these as a Christian and a non-Christian. Or the final one is, could the true faith have been lost? Right. So could Christianity be true? Leaving each branch with only a fragment of what the original message was. So we have the Orthodox that say they are the one true church, and they don't have it wrong, which means all the other Christians are wrong. But then we have the Protestants that are saying, well, actually, we think you have it wrong.
Could maybe even the Orthodox not be the one true church, and all the versions of Christianity out there be wrong, but Christianity still not be wrong, just that mankind has perversed Christianity. So I'm going to once again open it up to our Christians or semi-Christians here and get their input on those ideas.
Glenn, you first, or Cleaner?
What? I'm sorry.
Oh my
Audio.
God.
We can hear you, Glenn.
Okay.
I can't hear you.
From
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you fine.
Hold on.
We are so uncoordinated. This mess. Okay, I'll go first if we'll go bottom to the top.
Ladies first.
Can't hear.
If Judaism and Christian. All right.
Okay.
I think that
Got it now.
my notes on this one was that I think that it weakens it in some cases. And in others, you can't even really, because they're separate. They run completely away from one another. So therefore, it's a completely different claim. You can't even it's like trying to compare an apple to an orange, right? But when you're looking within, specifically Christianity, if you want to look at the divergences, that does go to weaken it, and it makes us look kind of silly, right? Especially if we can't all agree on the same thing. But that comes down to interpretations, which comes to the next one again. Can they be right at the same time, or must only one hold the truth? I don't think any of them are totally right. We are fallible humans who are trying to understand God, which is completely, ununderstandable. So it's just silly to think that any of us have the whole truth, or even get close to the mark. And that's where, again, we move right on into the third one where, yeah, I think a lot's been lost along the way. I know a lot of my fellow Christians are hold different opinions from me, even. My parents hold different opinions from me. I was raised, my parents met in the Way ministry, where they said Jesus is not God. And that's what I was raised to believe my whole life, was that anyone practicing Trinity beliefs was a heretic and committing blasphemy. So that took a minute for my adult brain to kind of understand, because I couldn't even explore it within my household.
Was it more the Gnostic view that he has the divine truth? No.
I'm not entirely sure how it's put. I can send you, so I'll have to find some materials on it and send it to you later. It was just simply that, Jesus was not God. And I'm not even clear as to whether or not they ever said that he was even divine, for that matter. There was praying in the name of Jesus, but never to Jesus or anything like that. And they had a lot of strange beliefs with different things. But that was all under Dr. Werewolf, and then the ministry starts shifting and changing. And nowadays, the Way ministry is nothing like it used to be. So I give them credit for that. Okay, I give them absolute credit for that. But when I was a kid, that's what my household was taught. So, I think that a lot of stuff gets lost when we start branching off into different beliefs. I mean, right, even down if you want to throw Mormons on the same plate, right? And in some cases, I think there's a lot of Christians who would say they have no truth, but you wouldn't want to say that to them, right? Or, well, you might want to. They're just not going to agree with you. So there's my take on this.
All right, Mr. Lawrence.
Yeah. So hold on. To address question one, if Judaism, Christianity, Islam claim Abraham, do their divergence strengthen or weaken Christianity claims? I think they sharpen the issue, and ultimately, it strengthens Christianity, in my opinion, it's claimed, because it's forcing the fulfillment question. You know, like, did the Messiah come? Did Jesus come? I mean, you have to wrestle with that question. I think that's what, you know, ultimately it points to, like, because ultimately any path that it doesn't acknowledge the Son misses the Father, ultimately. You know, so I think it does point back to it directly. The question, can all Abrahamic religions be right at the same time? Well, no, obviously. I would say, like, that would be a contradiction. You know, there's only one true faith, right? There's only one correct faith. You can't they all be right and all be wrong. No, it's just one. Can all Abrahamic religion, or just that, let me see. Could the true faith have been lost? No, because, you know, God said, like, you know, he preserves his gospel. He said, you know, the gates of hell will not prevail. So I don't see how, you know, the gospels could be tainted or lost. Now they could be, the translations could be hard, you know, to go translation. We know that the English language is not the same as it was in Hebrew or even in Greek. So I think that there's words or fillers in there, or they try to put things the closest to the meaning, but to say that it's been lost or leaving branches like fragmented, I don't see God doing that. I don't think he would leave his word to be that fragmented or that, you know, misplaced, you know, and just be like, oh, well, they'll just got to figure it out. If they're not, well, they're fucked. Like, that's not how God works. Sorry.
All right, well said. Cleaner?
Well, I mean, it's going to come down to what the religions are prescribing within their views, as to whether or not each of them will be stronger or weaker. But I don't think that by having other religions that people are believing in, it weakens Christianity. Christianity would be weakened by weak men in the Christian faith, not by other faiths. Can all Abrahamic religions be right at the same time, or must only one hold the truth? Well, under my belief structure, there is only one that holds the truth, because there is only one religion that speaks that the most important thing is the intent in your heart. The intent of what you're doing is the most important thing. That's what God cares about, is whether you intend to do good or bad. If you intend to do something bad, but you do it by the prescriptions in the Bible, so to speak, you still intended to do something bad. So it wouldn't matter if you followed the prescription, but the intent in your heart was to do evil. So I think that really right now only Orthodox Christianity is preaching the correct thing, which would be the intent in your heart is what God's going to care about. The intent of your actions, what you're believing you're going to be doing. You believe you're doing good or evil. That's what he's going to care about. As far as whether or not true faith could have been lost, that part of question 3, yeah, that's completely possible. We don't know how many eras of human beings have come and gone. All we know is what God has given us to know right now for us to reach what he wants us to reach in the end. That's it. That's all we can possibly know right now, is just what we're told and what we can find. So, I mean, that's a possibility. Now, leaving each branch with a fragment, no. As I said earlier, the answer to question 2 should complete that by saying, I believe that Orthodox Christianity has it right. The intent is the most important thing. If you intend to do evil, that's a sin. If you intend to do good, it's not a sin.
All right. Perfect. Now we get to bring in the Lost Wilderness. Oh, sorry, Team Wilderness. I can see I could see him getting so bored in the background. So when you were a kid, were you on like ADD medications? I know. I just I assumed. Uh-oh. Honestly, God, here was my idea though. When when I was thinking about changing this format, it literally crossed my mind. Am I going to lose Dusty as a panelist because I don't know if he can sit backstage that long? But then my second thought, well, my second thought was, well, he's probably streaming to his old.
There he goes. Oh, Dad's gone and he left the wilderness up here. Ah, the degenerates. The degenerates are on stage. What's good? Your God is dead. Well, since he's not on the screen to respond, I'm going to respond. Cleaner was talking about intent, but I was reading into that actually prepping for these questions, and Islam also measures intent at the top of that hierarchy, and then the second step is actions back up the intent, meaning that they check their own work about the intentions as well. The road to hell being paved by bad intentions only fits Judaism. It could. I mean, well, you have to mean it, but yeah, it doesn't matter like what your actions are as long as your intent is good. But if you intend to like help the world and you blow up an entire continent, that's all that matters is your intent to help the world. If your intent is to give your people a good society, then you start a Holocaust. Does that mean that good intention gets you into heaven?
Oops. Now it's just me. Now it's just the flow show. There we go. I was muted on Vibe side. It's all right. We had a good time without you. We were holding it down.
The heathens.
We had several people convert and renounce their Christianity. They were like, I'm done with this. Going straight to hell.
Paganism, yep.
Yep.
All right. No, but you guys are up. Sorry, I've never had that happen on my PC before, but it did the. They don't have a blue screen of death anymore. It's a black screen with a little percentage like thing going on. So it just did a quick shutdown. So I rebooted as quick as I could.
Why do you feel like God forsook you right there?
Oh, I think that was just the environment.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean,
probably because you left me in back forever.
Well, so where I was going with that is normally you're also streaming. So I figured while you were in back, you would be sitting there telling your audience all about like how much you hate everything we're saying. So I figured somehow.
I was roaring at the screen out of boredom.
Yeah. So you're not streaming?
I am streaming. Yeah, I'm not streaming.
But yeah, I saw you in the back room, just like dying there. But for me, yeah, it was enjoyable. It's like welcome to Sheol.
Hell is a waiting room.
You got to get used to it at some point. But did you guys already make your comments?
No, we're waiting for you. We were just dicking around.
All right, I appreciate it. So, Taylor, go.
All right, ahead. So, I
Oh,
basically couldn't pay attention to it earlier because I wasn't part of it.
Well, you're supposed to just have your own. I have my answers prepped for these questions, so I can
all right.
While he thinks about it.
All right, Tyler, it's all yours.
All right. So, if Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are all claimed to be oh God, I'm not. Do their divergences strengthen or weaken Christianity's truth claims? And I would have to say weaken. All these say that their specific text that they look at is the divine interpretation that should be used, and all three say that the other is wrong. One of the groups calls themselves God's chosen people. So, I mean, if I had to go with just the PR game and the branding there, I'd have to say Judaism because that's a pretty good branding right there. But
it's the original. They do have that branding. Yeah.
Yep, 11 herbs and spices, baby. So to go to Jesus.
I don't know if that was an appropriate joke right there.
Jesus
Oh,
is the false prophet. He is not a Messiah. He's not a prophet to Judaism. They're still waiting on their Messiah. To the next, Jesus, is the Holy Trinity, which Christianity is the only one of these three that believes in the Holy Trinity. They're monotheistic. So that case right there tells me that their understanding of just what God is completely differs, and that would invalidate the other ones in a sense. And Jesus pushed the Orthodox Church. He founded the Orthodox Church through his prophets. So at the end of the day, if you're not going to the churches of Jesus speaking, you are undermining what Christianity fundamentally is, which is an expansion pack to the first Old Testament or the Jewish text. So the last one thinks that their true prophet was a warlord. They do say Jesus was a prophet, but not divine. He was a Messiah, but not divine. These books were tainted by the hand of man. Basically what Beth was saying, but that's what Islam believes, why the other books are wrong. So I would say that it weakens it. And can all Abrahamic religions be right at the same time? No. Absolutely not, because of these inherent contradictions. And there's some small ones that I'm not going to harp down on, like the Holy Trinity versus monotheism. I don't think that's a big one. All the books saying the other books are wrong isn't a big one. But I just think that at the end of the day, there's so much disagreement, even between these divisions, subgroups of these divisions, that all disagree on the interpretation. One of them's got to hold the truth, and I don't think any of them really pull forward in that, but I don't know. I just see such a lack of agreement between them. I don't think one can be right. There's just, again, in here, and the last question is, could true faith have been lost when each branch is only a fragment? I mean, again, practically going back to what we were saying, if you're just ruling things out at face value, sure, could be that way, but there's just so many differences and contradictions within them. If you think the guy that inspired Christianity wasn't divine or wasn't even a prophet, then at the end of the day, it's an inherent contradiction that breaks the fundamental base of the religion itself. It's just a big one, and I just don't see I see that it's just like the argument. Like if this was a debate on religion, that's the argument you'd have to win to crush the religious debate. And it's just such a strong point that just doesn't line up. And again, all three books say the other books are wrong. But if something was lost, or these are all fragments, how do you invalidate things? Oh, they just didn't line up with what other people said. Like the whole book of Thomas, the dude was an apostle. They cut the entire book out because certain things didn't line up, but maybe he was right, and we just don't know because something is lost. And how do you invalidate anything if you say we don't even know the full information to begin with? I just I don't know. I don't see that. So one of them has to be right, or none of them are right in my mind.
I think it invalidates or it weakens the validity of all of them because we've heard this before, right? And with every sector denomination, you can look at it and go, you agree that all these motherfuckers out here claiming to have the secret perfect right way is wrong, but you have an inability to self-reflect and see that maybe you're sitting in the same shit pool. It brings down the whole bunch.
Well, I do like what Tyler said, where he pretty much dismissed Islam with a warlord that basically changed the religion after the fact, right? So now we're just talking about Jews and Christians, and whether and Jews actually believe in Christianity. They just don't believe that it's happened yet. And Christians actually believe it has happened, right? So in that particular, now we're down to two. If we're going by major, right, not all the subsects. So even by Tyler's example, he's actually broken it down to two, and he's finally said, well, if one were true, it'd be Judaism because, and he didn't say why, he just said, I mean, they're the founders, and they said, well, it doesn't fulfill the prophecy, and they would know best. However, we can actually say they didn't know best because the majority of them actually said, it does fulfill the prophecy. Therefore, we're moving over here, and there were some left over. It wasn't a minority. Just in every disagreement, there's always some leftover people who are like, I'm not going to change. I don't care. I like the way the laws are right now. I don't want to change, even though all my friends are going, yes, it fulfills the prophecies perfectly. Therefore, we have Christianity. And then, we did talk about this a little bit in the canonization. The one thing that proves or disproves, which is actually unprovable, is if Jesus rose supernaturally, it wasn't a mass hallucination. These things, it pretty is a good conscription to saying, yes, this happened. And we have some evidence, but it is not the type of evidence that would convict somebody if you were in a crime. We have the evidence of Paul's letters, 500 witnesses over not 2 days, 3 days, hundreds of days.
If Paul said there were 500 witnesses, you have one witness.
Well, we have one witness who said, whom are all alive?
So how many
now?
witnesses do we have?
We have 500. He said,
we have one.
We have one witness who said, I have 500 witnesses whom are alive. This is a big piece, right? Now, they're not alive now in our time while you and I are debating. But this actually says that while he wrote this and sent this out, he's actually saying you can check. Like, I'm not just saying I have 500. I'm not just one guy saying I have 500. I'm saying I have 500 mostly living witnesses that you can go talk to and attest to this. It would be another thing if it was one witness saying after all 500 witnesses are dead, saying I talked to 500 people, but they're all dead. You can't talk to them anymore. That's not his claim. His claim is I have 500 witnesses, most of whom are still alive.
I have 1,000 witnesses that you can talk to. How many people attest to what I just told you?
I would ask for a list.
Well, they're out there. You can go get them. I'll do the same that Paul did. You can go find them and talk to them.
Well, we have to realize that the governments were the ones in charge of putting those lists together.
All right, we'll ask the government for a list.
You're telling a story, and tell me how much sense it would make if in the Bible we had a subchapter that was 500 pages of everybody that asked them for that information, everybody that verified that information. That's a
If
summary.
there was an appendix that had the list of people who actually attest to it so that you could get to 500, yes, that would actually make more sense.
Yeah, but we can see all through the Bible that's not what the Bible is about. It's a story.
What are you talking about? We got genealogy after genealogy after genealogy.
I would like to question your dismissal of Judaism as well, based on just people being left behind, because it took almost 400 years and the Roman Catholic government pushing Christianity for Christianity to actually surpass Judaism, which that's a long fucking time for it to take. And secondly, Judaism is a religion of people escaping persecution from Egypt and moving to an area where they really just wanted to be left alone and survive, whereas Christianity has a built-in system to spread the religion, to save more people. On top of it, one is just kind of inspired to exist. The other one is inspired to get as many people as possible into your religion. So just using scale to invalidate one, I would say that it's kind of an apples to oranges for those reasons.
Do you think that if it turns out that Christianity was correct, all right, if that's the case, do you believe that Christians wanting to bring more people to the Christian faith would be something that we would call a bad thing then?
No, even if it's not, it's still the moral system that it comes with it, especially in modern day, after lots and lots and lots of changes based on societal pressures and such. The moral system's pretty solid. I want my kids to grow up religious.
No.
Do you want them being taught that they can do anything that they want as long as they say they're sorry right before they die?
The value system that comes from it is pretty solid compared to the heathenist. You should have seen my upbringing, man. I don't want my kids to go through that.
Yeah, that was kind of a straw man there, Dusty. You don't.
It was. You're right.
Real bad straw man.
He was just taking a shot, guys.
It was a shot. It was invalid. I retract it.
Good boy.
No, you don't. You're gonna bring
It's
it up
back
again.
out there. It's back out there because of.
I wanted to point out too, to further back up what Tyler said about Islam, the ontology of God that they give is also completely different from both Judaism and Christianity. So that in itself is a huge point, right? It brings into question, are we even talking about the same God? if they're so vastly different?
Yeah, I mean that could be a fair question to be asked, but I don't think I don't think that religions are really talking about the same understanding of God. I mean, understanding of the deity, right? Like the God. I think it's not that we have a different God that we're all talking about. We all understand it is an omnipotent being, but our definitions of what they prescribe for us to live by, our definitions of how we should do things, and our Bibles are different. I wouldn't say necessarily our gods are different because
Well,
it's more an understanding of what it is
I'm
that we
saying
believe in.
specifically when it comes to Islam, because the way that the attributes that they even give to God are different from that of both Judaism
Well,
and
I was talking about religions, not cults.
Same
If
thing.
same.
if you're saying you have a religion, and in this religion you are prescribing for your people to go forth, subjugate people who do not believe in your religion, grape and murder them after you have subjugated enough of them, then that's not a religion, that's cult.
I agree completely. And a violent one at
But
that.
what if it's not an explicit command? It's just the statement that, well, these people will be raped and burned for and tortured for all of eternity because they're lost. See, there
Well,
it's not an explicit command. It's just sort of baked into the worldview.
so that also not necessarily. That's still another kind of shortfall there because you that depends on what kind of Christians you're asking, right? There's actually an entire group of Christians who are called annihilists, where they believe that the idea of hell is reserved for Lucifer and for the Watchers, and that as human beings, because God loves us as much as He does, He would not want us to be tortured for all of eternity. And instead, what they believe is in the straight annihilation of the soul itself. It ceases to exist. So you get different
So you have
ideologies.
baked into the worldview the same "we're better, you're scum."
I
Less
don't
than
No,
see it
scum.
that way at
If
all.
somebody needs to be annihilated, they're
You'll
less
hear
than
it.
scum. They're less than pawn scum. Pawn scum doesn't need to be
But
annihilated.
not
hey,
necessarily. Some you
no.
may revere someone, but know that they still need to be annihilated.
Well, I mean, if
And
someone does
here's
an
the other
evil
thing is,
action and they don't repent it, don't you want that person to burn? You know, like if someone did as
No,
a kid and then
no,
doesn't feel any
no,
remorse for it.
no,
no,
because
I
so
do.
actually,
here's the
no.
thing.
Wood
As a
chipper.
Christian, hang on, as a Christian, I am commanded by God to not consider what any person on this panel or in any of these chats, it's not my place to determine what their state of salvation is, right? It is my job to love you guys as future
It is
as
unavoidable.
exist as
You're lying to
co-existing
yourself.
human
You're
beings.
lying to yourself.
No,
And
I
thank
don't.
you, Beth, for
How did?
including the chat.
What is
with
the
a-
one way that Christians get to heaven? Is through Jesus. If somebody says, "Nah, I don't believe in Jesus," what is the only conclusion that you, Beth, can come to?
Look, I'll give you a fair answer to that
Don't
question.
save her from it. Don't save her from it. She's lying to herself. Go ahead, Beth.
No, sure.
Oh, thanks. So I believe that I personally I understand that this is what the text says. However, I believe God judges us based on our hearts and what we do with our lives. Okay, do I so this is an aspect that even I struggle with as a Christian because I don't believe that God wants his most beloved creation to be in that state, either annihilated or in hell. I don't believe it. I just it's a hard one to
So,
follow,
are you
right?
ready to renounce your Christianity?
Especially no, I'm not, and especially because it's my job to focus on you and your life now in a loving way where I'm not drawing any conclusions about your salvation. That's not my job.
Can I ask a novel question since you kind of got on the subject? It's off subject, but it's kind of on subject to what you said. Why does the devil in biblical theory torture people on behalf of God? Why not? Hey, welcome to hell. This is army training. You get in there, start learning, and we're going to go siege those holy
This
gates
is
one day.
This is
Okay,
that
actually-
idea that nihilists come up with, or this is the principle of their ideology, is that hell is meant to torture Lucifer, and the fallen and the Watchers for what they did, not to torture human beings. Because
That's not biblical. They made it up.
Why would God want to torture people?
Well, my
and-
understanding.
wait, I mean,
was-
just pause everybody on this, because as Tyler said, it's a little off topic, but it is exactly the next episode's topic. And we're going to dig
we're talking
really deep into it. And I think this is when Dusty's finally going to be like,
Saved by the bell.
I think I can shine here. But I mean, to
Can
Beth's
I
point,
answer
she wasn't going off topic. She was clarifying to a point. But it does come. We're talking about the different flavors out there, and not the punishments of each of those flavors that are out there. So,
and I didn't also get to finish, Dusty, because what I was going to continue to say is that how do you or I know what hell would even look like, right?
So are you an annihilationist?
I don't know. It's
Oh.
an interesting.
Is anybody on the panel an annihilationist?
I just learned about it recently, and
So it's safe to say you're not that thing. You're just using it to hide behind.
I'm not hiding behind shit. I was giving an example of an ideology that does not believe that all human beings who are not going to heaven are necessarily going
Right.
to hell.
But that's not
Now,
your
what
belief, because
is
you're a
there-
Christian before that you ever heard of that.
What?
That's not your belief, because you were a Christian before you ever heard of that sect.
Well, there's Christians who believe that.
Right,
yeah,
but you're
I
not
mean,
one of them.
And to be fair, I mean, this is a panel of exploring. I think some of us are professed in our particular branch. I think some of us are actually trying to still find what branch we fit in. But like I say, I'm asking these questions, and as an unshakable Christian, and unshakable in my faith, some Christians out there would be asking, why am I even asking these questions? Why am I even on air throwing these questions out there? I'm doing it kind of, I mean, not anywhere closest to what Glenn's doing with Sons of Thor, trying to lift men, but I am trying to say that you can be a Christian and you can still ask questions. You can be unshakable and you can still ask questions. It doesn't make you...
You got everything so figured out that you need no information.
I
It's
don't
closed. It's done.
As-
Vibe became a Christian because his wife was scared he'd go to hell, and he is so unshakable. He has it so figured out.
That's actually not true. I was
It's
raised...
not. That's the story you
Catholic.
told.
And I moved on with my life afterwards, not going to church every Sunday. But I always knew that when I get married and I had kids, that just like Tyler was saying, that he thinks it's a good ideology to raise your kids on. And since I didn't have that influence and I didn't have the men around me that were Christians while I was going through college and while I was working, and I told the same thing to my wife. I told her, I was like, yeah, I like Jesus' teachings. I'm never going to go against him, because even where I am, I was a Catholic. What my wife did do is she brought me to Protestantism. However, I think I would have already gotten there on my own because I asked too many questions. And I once I really dig into the Bible and start looking at those things, I start asking those questions. And I think God wants us to ask those questions. I can definitely say, while I sit here and try to present evidence, like going backwards through history and like talking about the 500 witnesses, or St. Thomas Aquinas trying to do the five ways, or otherwise the 5 proofs of God. We're just trying to help people that are on the edge but feel it in their heart, giving them an entranceway into there. I can definitely say that my unshakable faith is not provable to you, but 100%
At
provable
all.
to me.
Let's be real here. At all.
Yeah,
Is what you meant to say.
And everybody
The
that's
question
actually
is,
watching
like, when you
has
got
actually
convinced,
been
bro.
there, knows what I'm talking about, right? This and the results you get from that in society, from putting your faith in there, we see from the people that aren't in that faith, are definitely a lot better, both for our hearts, our longevity, our relationships, and things like that. But I still don't mind having the conversations and the theoretical conversations with those that just want to slam down on the evidence. I am bringing as much evidence as possible to there, while I feel like to another Christian, my faith is provable, but to you, I
It's somebody
understand
who
that-
already believes. That's not proof.
bias.
That's not proof. That's consensus.
Yeah,
I, as
right,
a Christian, I don't walk around even trying to prove my faith to other Christians because it's none of their business.
Do y'all
right?
walk around teaching your
I-
kids to believe things without verifying? Just trust.
Yeah,
Yes.
sometimes.
100%.
In
Trust
some
me,
cases,
I'm
in the
not
sense now I think about it in the sense of, listen, if I talk to you in this tone of voice, I need you to just trust me and do what I'm telling you to do, and don't argue with me.
Right,
anymore.
but they already trust
But-
you. You're their mom, right? That's established. There's a good reason for them to trust you.
Is
Yeah.
there?
But,
I mean,
that still
I mean,
doesn't mean that they're not going to push back, right?
Or
And
like you won't explain it to them later.
the same
if you
idea
tell-
with
if you tell your
Christians.
kid
We can
not to
still,
touch the stove. I want them to trust me and not verify it.
but the thing is, they're still going to try to touch it because they're fucking kids. Okay? And that's the big thing is, do I have all the idea, everything figured out with Christianity? Absolutely not. And I've said in each one of these shows, there are aspects of my faith that I still question and look at, and I'm turning to find the way that it fits best to where I'm like, yep, that's it right there for that aspect. However, there's other aspects where I'm good. Make sense, Dusty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think that you're all full of shit.
I don't want you to go to hell, Dusty.
I
I'm
I think that you guys are already there.
it's possible. I mean, we are arguing this with you, so.
Well, I mean, obviously, Dusty, you can't actually think that because you don't think that. You just think.
I think that hell is metaphorical and it describes a state of being. I think that a large part of hell is fear, and that you, despite your retailoring of the story, got there through your wife's fear. I don't think that's unique to you. I'm not singling you out. I think everybody gets there through fear of the unknown,
Yeah,
which is
I would
what
say-
religion.
And I would say I think hell is not like, you know, it's more like you locking the door and not letting God in, rather than God like sending you to hell. Like you send yourself to hell more than
Yeah.
God sends you to hell. It's
Well,
like a rejection. It's like we're choosing to reject his gift of grace.
I agree with Glenn. And on top of that, it doesn't necessarily have to be all fire and horrible. No, I think that whatever
It can be
form
fun
of hell
hell.
there is going to be tailored to, those that it is meant for. And in that aspect, I'm talking even specifically, if you want to measure out the two creations that are guaranteed going to hell according to scripture, there's different ways to punish each one because they revolted for different reasons and in different ways. So what's hell to them isn't going to be hell to me, isn't going to be hell to you, or even to Vibe or Glenn. So
So what I love is I tried to put this whole series together in stepping stones, and I love that where we're at right now is literally the next two episodes, which means I'm putting the episodes together correctly. So at least I'm doing one thing right so far, but I am going to bring it into the last pillar here, and this time we get Tyler and Taylor. The opening responses on this, and I don't actually need to do any long sermon, although I'm not doing sermons, by the way. I am an idiot when it comes to Christianity, except for my faith. That's the only thing I actually do know. Everything outside of that, when it comes to being correct and things like that, is me learning. But
You're taunting me.
my last question here is going to be meaning without religion. So let me share this here, and here's the two prompts. Share screen. So my question to you guys here is essentially, is belief in God necessary for lasting meaning, or can secular philosophies and humanism provide equal or better depth of purpose, right? So can you have purpose without God? And the second prompt on that is, does religion give people meaning that reason alone cannot supply, or is this meaning something humans created for themselves?
Religion is a disruptor of meaning. It's a triangulation of meaning. Meaning is personal to the individual. I can't get my meaning by triangulating what matters to me through what matters to Jesus.
Yeah, but I'm not talking about like meaning on like your worth in this world. Are you just sitting here? Like, is there any value to what you're doing? And are you like, what
Absolutely.
is your purpose?
And the value is my own, but that's my point. The value is my own. I don't need to triangulate what's valuable to me through somebody else caring about it.
So through your
It can be
value,
valuable to me. And I was going to say to the other part of that question, part of the value is in the not knowing, is in the mystery, is in the fact that life is finite. If it was infinite, it would be less meaningful. I think that whether or not you're religious or secular, that is, and I'm a poor atheist because I do think that there's more in the woo woo than just nothing. And I think though that part of that value is in the finite, limited perspective that we have, and that we're able to act it out in real time in our own lives and experience that for ourselves and get our own meaning instead of having to diminish and devalue our present life and the thing that we know we have in favor of something that we hope we get that's going to be perfect, I swear to God, and triangulate what matters to us through what matters to a deity.
So your definition, and I'm strongmanning this, so correct me if I'm wrong. Your definition is I fulfilled my full, my fulfillment in life that is meaningful because I feel like it was meaningful.
Say that again.
To you, meaningfulness is I'm basing it on what I do and what makes me feel like I am being meaningful. If I believe that what
Correct.
I did was meaningful, then it was.
Correct. And it's actually no different than what a religious person does. It's just that I recognize that I'm the one giving meaning to the thing and receiving meaning from the thing, whereas y'all triangulate it through.
So in your worldview, what you're saying is essentially, if I believe that killing women who had sex outside of marriage, even though I'm not religious, is meaningful, and therefore, since it filled my meaningfulness of what I think I'm supposed to be put on earth for, I have actually successfully done my duty. Versus the Christian already knows that is not a meaningful. All of
No.
not
The Christian doesn't. The Christian doesn't know that.
We do. No, we don't.
You don't think Jesus is going to kill virgins and children in hell?
We're going to get to that episode next, but no, I don't.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then you're not really a Christian. I don't know what you are.
Well, you're not a Christian, so you can't actually tell me what Christianity is or not. All right.
Right.
Taylor.
But yes, no, I hold on. Let me answer the question. Yes,
okay.
I do agree that if I find meaning in something, no matter how atrocious it is my meaning in my life that I derive from myself. Whereas with the religious perspective, the meaning seems to be valued from somebody else valuing it, regardless of or not of the thing. Christians act like Christians don't do atrocities or don't support atrocities. That's obviously not true, but I guess that's the next episode.
Yep.
My turn? All right. So, is belief in God necessary for lasting meaning, or can secular philosophies and humanism or humanism provide equal or more depth of purpose? Yes, they can, but often does not. And this purpose and fulfillment for the common man won't really change in your mundane day to day. So, yes, these outlooks like utilitarianism can give you meaning, purpose, something more to a reason for your life, but it's not going to be for everybody. Christianity is more all-encompassing, whereas like the meaning of a utilitarian is, did you do something great to change society? Did you get your name on a building? Did you invent something that changed the world? Is your name in the history books? Whereas I feel that Christianity and belief in God gives everybody, even if you're just a farmer toiling away, this level of meaning that you can feel fulfilled, complete with, because you're upholding something greater than yourself. One could do something great, though. And again, there's different ways to achieve meaning. As he was saying, one could learn who they are as an individual, secular individual, and gain a meaning through the fulfillment of who they are and achieving what they want to be as a person through their life. That's just a meaning, is to figure out the puzzle of my mind and master it. Another could be another different ideology to latch themselves onto. We see this in like politicians' political speeches. They're constantly giving the individual voter, your vote has meaning, your vote has worth, and you need to get out and do it, because this meaning and worth is you're either being the change agent that's going to fix society, or the protection agent that's going to preserve the good things about society from the change agents. Meaning can come from all sorts of places, and constantly is a sales tactic to inspire, again with voting, to inspire people. I just think religion has more of a broad definition of meaning that anyone could step into, do what they're supposed to, and get that meaning out of it, where there's not something like that for secular people. And the second question, does religion give people meaning and reason alone that cannot supply? I wouldn't say, again, that it's a reasoning alone that can't be supplied elsewhere. You can come to a different, like there's multi-theistic religions that could bring you to the similar meaning, or you could be a spiritualist. There's other ways to come to some sort of divine, larger than myself, worshiping a deity sort of meaning as well. But Christianity, again, is a great vessel for it. And in Christianity, essentially, you're being a good boy and following all the rules, and that's all you really need to do, and your life has that meaning. It's an easy, accessible version of meaning, again, that you have to really do something great with as a secular person to gain something that fulfilling. Yeah, that's really where I'm at with it. Is it's possible, but at the end of the day, Christianity is a meaning delivery service, where the rest is merit-based meaning service.
Now, do you think it's Christianity that delivers the meaning, or community? Because church community is strong, right? Like I won't negate that from religion.
It could be both. It could be one's a subsect of another. Like the church could inspire the community, and then you're working to work with the community because you're inspired by the church as well. I don't think they have to be one or the other.
All right. I mean, that's good stuff there. I wanted to bring Glenn up first because I think this is a strong piece for him when it comes to meaning in life, especially when we're talking about men. So I wanted to open the floor to Glenn first in his responses to you guys. We can hear you.
Yes.
He's muted on stream.
Muted?
It says
You're
you
good.
are, but you weren't.
Well, no,
Yeah,
on the live stream, I couldn't hear him.
I can hear him.
Unmuted. Mic check.
Yep.
Mic check.
We got you.
Okay.
Bring it on.
All right. So,
Get teabagged. Yeah, I can hear him.
all right. People love to act like they can manufacture meaning without God. You know, even secular humanism, philosophy, self-help gurus, they all tell you that you could just write your own story and you could define your own truth, right? It's a cute slogan, but it's bullshit. If your meaning ends when you are 6 feet under, then it's nothing more than a placebo. You could feel like life has meaning, but feelings and foundations are not the same thing. All right.
As far as you know, though, that is where your life ends.
No, it doesn't.
You hope it doesn't.
No,
you
I
hope
got
it doesn't.
wings, bro.
You've invented a whole. All right,
I didn't even
take off.
Look at, hold on. My guy's gonna see my wings right now. Watch. They're gonna see, like, on my side. You guys can see the wings. Here we go. There you go. Anyways,
Fairy wings.
there you go. If there's no God, then all you have, like all your purpose, is built on sand. Like you live, like, you know, just basically is just nothing. It's like there's nothing. What's the reason for doing anything? You know, what's the reason for pursuing anything? If there's no God, there's nothing.
Correct.
And then
you have to find your own meaning. Your meaning.
Then you get the echoing of Ecclesiastes that it's all vanity, vanity, vanity. Everything's vanity, right? Without God, yes, that's what it is. It is all vanity. You know,
How is it not vanity with God?
well, I'll explain that. Now, you can reason. You could reason and give yourself like, you know, some sense or order, but sure, but people can see creation and know that bigger things exist. Even like Romans 1:20, right? They can build a system of morality and purpose, but reasons can't wipe away guilt. Reasons can't wipe away the way you feel, right? They can't handle like, you know,
You have to feel guilt first.
Do you still feel why do you feel guilt?
I don't.
Is the question. Yes, you do. You
I
do.
don't.
That one time when you made fun of me, you felt enough guilt and you said, I'm sorry, Glenn.
I just knew it was bad PR.
Oh, that's a lie. So I think we could scribble and write think that we think we could do, you know, establish meetings and create morality, but all morality and not saying that in the sense like, oh, God made morality. Yes. In an objective way, I think it says it's written on our heart. So I think that we all know what's right from wrong because of that. We know that, you know, people are seeking a creator for a reason, whether it's, you know, in Hindu or Buddha or Muhammad, they're all trying to figure out this deity. They're all looking for it, whether it's humanism, you know, or even if it's Scientology, they're still trying to figure out this God particle, whether they think it's themselves or they think it's something else. It all points back to something's missing, something created us, and we want answers.
But you weren't given answers, and so to try to create a fantasy.
We got enough answers. You just don't like the answers. And see, the other thing,
That's the thing is everybody thinks they give answers. Why is your answer the answer?
I could be wrong, but I'd rather be wrong believing what I'm believing rather than rejecting what I believe. And like, I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
So you, Glenn, think that
I would just like to interrupt for a second. Glenn's actually not giving his answer. He's giving what he believes, and I believe is the ultimate truth answer. It's not my answer. It's not his answer. You're the only one actually giving your answer. You're the one that's saying, if I feel that it's fulfillment of my life based on my own personal purview, that therefore I have lived a meaningful life. What Glenn and I are saying is we believe that we have a higher purpose. We believe that we should go out there and help men. We believe that we should help the poor. We believe that we should help women, not out of our hearts, but because we have something bigger than what's in our own hearts. And I might actually think, hey, I'd rather go do drugs all day long. That feels much more fulfilling in my life. And if I fulfill that, I've actually reached my thing. But even if I think that, I don't do that. What you are saying is because that's in your heart. You want to legalize drugs. You love doing drugs. That to you is a moralistic life. That is the difference between his view, because his view isn't his view, and your view, because your view is your view.
No, that may be true, but what I'm saying is that my view has me as the user of meaning and the determinant of it. In your view, you're outsourcing your meaning. You're saying, well, since somebody else wants me to be better, I'll be better. I'm saying I'll just be better if it's meaningful to me. I give myself the authority. You don't.
No, we actually still make that same choice. We still
you make the same choice to choose this as your meaning source. It's a second-hand meaning source.
No, it's like because we know what we know or we believe what we believe, we choose to want to be better rather than choosing,
Right, because God would want it, not because you value it yourself.
No, because we value what he has given us.
I know. That's exactly my point. That's the second-hand value. That's derivative value.
It's not a second-hand value.
All right.
Well, and to Dusty's defense, to him it is a second-hand value. To you and me,
because he's retarded,
it's a first-hand value passed down. First-hand.
I can't help it that he's slow.
We're talking about the value to you. How can you say because God values something, I value it, and it's first-hand value? That's second-hand value.
No, he's first.
It's like if I said, I hate hummus, but I eat it because Beth loves hummus.
in your world, you're first, and then morality is second.
Well, because okay, the difference is what is the mental point of origin, and for each individual, right? For a Christian, the mental point of origin is going to be God, right?
Okay, but that's not actually how that works, because you, the Christian, have to choose God.
Yes, that's exactly right. So
Right.
the Christian,
But the point of origin is the
Who's the
Christian,
point?
not Jesus.
Are we in open debate? Because I think I can defend what Vibe's saying a little bit here.
Oh, I thought we were going through explaining the two.
Yeah, I thought
answers
Glenn
to
was
the two
answering
questions.
first, but
Yeah,
if we're
I thought that's what was
because
supposed
Flo
to
kept
be going
interrupting
on.
me. I couldn't get my answer out all the way.
Well, Glenn started off with like, Flo, I'm going to shut your shit down right now.
Because I just like talking shit. But like, okay, the point is that like Christians choose to put God as their mental point of origin, and that means you're filtering your thoughts as in, like, almost like, what would Jesus do? Remember those stupid bracelets? What would Jesus do? Simple as that, right? What Flo is saying is that Flo is his mental point of origin. What does Flo want to do? That's the difference. But the choice that we put God there first. It makes us like first hand, not second hand.
I'm being a good participant. I'm muted.
Good. Shut you down. Silence him.
And as I work out how this whole panel works, yes, the idea in this new flow is I give one side their full opinions, the second side the full opinions, and then we do go into open panel. However, I also kind of want to make sure everybody gets an opportunity to jump in, not just two people talking the whole time. So once we kind of got that exchange with Taylor and Glenn, then I would go to the next person. But it's still, we are kind of in the open panel, but I'm trying to figure all that out. So please forgive me as I figure out the format perfect. But yeah.
I appreciate you tolerating my insanity.
Yes. Well, I mean, you're here, so I have to a little bit, but I do have to keep things on track. And I do want to make sure everybody gets to speak. I don't want to have one of those panels where we have somebody just showing up and looking pretty on screen the whole time. I want to make sure everybody gets their voice in. Beth.
Maybe we should do Cleaner first. He's been looking pretty the longest. No.
Okay. Cleaner.
I'm not pretty. I think to answer the question, is the question framed towards personal meaning, or is the question framed towards societal meaning, like how society views the individual? You know, that's the thing you gotta clarify here.
I think they're one and the same. I think I was going to close that gap, but I'm waiting for Cross.
Well, and that's kind of the differentiation between the two. If you're talking about individual meaning, then sure, yeah, there are individuals who can claim to find great personal meaning in their life without having anything to do with religion. I'm not saying that that's not possible. It's totally possible. But I think that if you're talking about personal meaning versus spiritual meaning, that's different. And when we're talking about spiritual meaning, it's going to be much harder for you to have a long and a lasting meaning in your life and a fulfilling meaning in your life if you're talking about spirituality without having some kind of religion or belief in that religion, something where you're engaging in that religion. And as far as question 2,
and I push back on that a little bit in the sense that because you like we were just doing personal or religious, and then you added in what about society? I would actually argue that societal would be the secondhand opinion, just like Dusty was arguing that God is the secondhand opinion, right? You're not taking it personal. You just want to look good to society. So you're still following some sort of worship. And that's when Christians were saying you're worshiping money, you're worshiping social media, popularity, likes, or what have you. Speaking of likes, I'm 1 subscriber away from 100. But I would put religion and society both in a belief of faith. So it's either your own faith in yourself or what you want your secondhand, or in our case, firsthand provider.
Yeah, that's kind of why I was trying to understand the differentiation you were trying to make between the question and whether you were framing it towards like societal or personal. Because yeah, there's a huge difference. Personal personal, people are going to seek out things that that give them that fulfillment or meaning in life throughout the course of their life. And a lot of people go to spirituality in some form or religion of some form, right? A belief structure of some form, a faith of some form. Not everyone, though. There are some people that will find great meaning in their life through science or through just acts of helping other people, but they are absent a religion. I mean, there's all kinds of things that people can do in life that can give them a meaningful life. But what I would say is that, like, there's a difference between society looking at you and saying you have meaning in life, you looking at yourself and saying, I feel like I have meaning in life. And yeah, like I said, I do agree there's a difference between the two. Question two is asking, hold on, let me pull it back up. Does religion give people meaning that reason alone cannot supply, or is meaning something humans create for themselves? Well, again, that would go back to the two part. Um, so yeah, I think that religion does give people a meaning that reason, rationale, and logic by itself can't necessarily always give. There's a difference of the type of meaning, though. When you're going through things that are just logical, rational, and all of that, and you're not accounting for spirituality or religion or anything, you're just looking at math, for instance. That's not necessarily going to give you a deeper religious meaning or spiritual meaning. It's not going to give you any understanding. But if you're talking about the religious side of things, then yeah, religion would be giving you a more spiritual meaning.
All right. Well said. Beth?
All right, so this is the one that kind of like I definitely struggle with as far as why, uh, well, the idea of morality, right? And is it something that comes from God, or is it something that man is perfectly capable of coming up with on their own? All right, we've heard this debate so many times, like I'm lost in the sauce on this one at this point. But I think one of the mm, best arguments for it that I've heard kind of goes to answer both questions here. And I mean, it's a matter of why ought we or ought we not do something? And especially if you want to take out all of the good shit and let's go to the negative side of things, like inflicting pain, because sometimes it's both merited and sometimes completely unavoidable. But then it comes down to, should you actually still feel bad about it? I mean, somebody breaks into my house and I have to inflict pain because of that. I'm, at least me as a woman, I'm still going to feel bad about it, but not that I'm going to care very much, besides the fact that I hurt somebody, right? But that's where the big argument comes down to is why even feel bad at all if there's no reason to feel bad about it. So I tend to lean more towards looking at the more negative things that happen within life when I'm questioning this stuff for justifications rather than looking at why we should or shouldn't do all the good things that we do for one another. I think that just makes more sense.
All right. So I'm going to officially open it for the end here with open panel to all you guys to ask questions back and forth.
Oh, Jesus.
We weren't in that.
I think we were.
Just to
But
clarify,
in case there's any closing question, don't worry, I'm not bringing anybody else. It's still a closed panel. Maybe someday we'll do an open panel, but at this time we're not doing that. And also for anybody in the chat that actually wants to ask anybody anything, now is the time to do it. Post them up there.
Do you have any mods yet?
What's that?
Do you have any mods set up yet?
I have one mod, Agrillipus, that offered, but I told him last minute, I'm like, I'm ready for you. and he was in chat, but we'll make sure that he's.
Also do Patrick. Patrick would be a good mod, I think.
Yeah. And I have been watching the chat. I'm not really good at like talking and paying attention to you guys and watching chat. So I did see Steven and Agrillipus is actually in the chat. Abe, Liam, Steelman. I actually do see some good conversations going on there. Due diligence seems quite excited. I'm recognizing you guys. I'm going to go back and reread those things.
since I can't multitask like that. If I'm paying attention to Beth and reading chat, I won't get all of Beth's message or Dusty's.
You don't have that fast twitch ADHD?
Not yet.
You're gonna get it. It's in the bottom of the bottle of Adderall with your kid's name on it.
So
none of my kids are on those, but yeah, you guys go. I have to do a bio break really quick. I'll be back in like 45 seconds.
Damn, he just left. I was going to give him some due. Oh, you're good, Vibe. I was going to say, I'm going to go. I agree with most of what Glenn said here. The meaning of religion is there for you. It's something that lasts past the grave. And to a secular person, we would see meaning in that context of something past the grave as your legacy. And the legacy you lead on. That's what I was saying, when putting names on buildings or doing something to advance society. If you've done something to advance humanity or society, that could be a meaning for somebody that's just a humanist. I just want humans to be better. I spent my life as a researcher, and that's what gave me meaning, is to advance humanity past and discover a cure for X disease or something like that. But so I agree with him on those points, and meaning to secular people, yeah, is legacy, blah, blah, blah. So where we parted ways, and I kind of want to stand up for Dusty on, is that self-fulfillment version of meaning is what the basis of the political philosophy of individualism is built on, is that everybody goes and does the best for themselves and their local family, and because you know best what you and your family want and need. You're the one that cares the most, so you should be the one to oversee it, not like the government or some other entity, because, again, you're the one that cares the most. You're the one that knows the best. So individualism, self-fulfillment, is a great reason to have a meaning if you are an individualist, because it advances society as a whole as well, because all of these people are well taken care of in their own unit. So self-fulfillment could be, in a greater way, a meaning because you are advancing society. It's a little abstract, but there is
Let me ask you this, Tyler, though. Let me ask you this real quick. Hedonism is self-fulfilling. The way that things are now are very selfish, right? With feminism, just look at culture right now, the way it is. How is that benefiting or helping or advancing society?
Not much at all.
Okay,
every now and then, man, people can hijack the system.
No, that's cool. Point proven. Point proven. Thank you.
Hey, it's not every single movement's a good movement. Every now and then we have to, mess up and stumble. Sometimes bad actors get in charge of that stuff and push all this crazy gender stuff that 80% of the country disagrees with.
Don't. That's okay. I'm sorry. You already lost.
No, I'm saying you're right sometimes, but sometimes it can go the other way as well.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Just stop. You're hurting yourself.
Is that actually Grid?
No,
that's answer.
No, I don't think that's Grid. But he did post the question, and I said I'd post the questions. So,
Vibe, you need to bring Dusty back up.
Yeah,
I didn't hit Dusty, by the way. That was a leave on his own accord.
He's got me cry laughing. It says he's in the back.
Oh, is he in back?
He's been there the whole time since you left.
Wait, I don't see him.
Vibe, you just missed me.
I'm looking at his
Tyler.
screen.
I just own Tyler, Vibe.
Hang on, I'll tell him to refresh
You're gonna have to play this back. You gotta rewind 5 minutes.
My argument wasn't that
I had cleaner laughing. That's how good it was.
Truth.
It was a destiny tactic you pulled on me.
It was funny. Well, so I would say this, Tyler. I don't necessarily disagree wholeheartedly with what you're saying. I do think that, by and large, maybe the majority of people could find meaning and fulfillment in that way. I do think that by and large, the majority of people, if they are finding a positive meaning in life, it is helpful for society, right? But I wouldn't say everyone, because psychopaths and sociopaths, have the need to kill, and if they don't feel fulfilled. So I mean, that's not, there's always going to be crazy people like that. So I wouldn't say always. Yeah, right. Right. Well, and that's kind of why whenever I've been going through the different religions and trying to understand things, I came to this understanding of the drivers, the 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 two drivers, right? Like everything that's alive wants to survive and reproduce. Even the sociopath and psychopath, they want to survive and
Yes, we
or
do.
reproduce. So, I mean that's all we're all trying to do. So if we have a societal construct that helps us all do that together, then I would say that would be the net positive to strive for. Would be that construct. And it's not necessarily always going to be the best for each piece and each person on a personal level, but it will give meaning to the society as a whole. And I think that might be more important, especially right now with what the world's going through. I think we need to come back to that a little bit.
For sure, it's absolutely religion provides everybody with a very in-depth, divine version of meaning that's very interpersonal to them. Whereas, like the individualist thing is like it's so abstract. It's not nearly as absolute. I agree with you. It's not nearly as strong or absolute. And yeah, you have that guiding path. Absolutely, I'm not hating on the Christian path. I'm just saying meaning can come from other places, and even if it seems selfish. Individualism is capitalism is selfish if you really get, but it doesn't mean it's a bad thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. And people can, like I said earlier, people can find meaning in other things that are a great benefit to society. I mean, Nikola Tesla wasn't particularly religious, and yet the man made a lot of amazing advancements that we're still taking advantage of today, some of which we don't even understand how they're going to affect us in the years to come. So it is possible. That's why I said, yeah, I absolutely believe it's possible. But I just think that as a society, I think it's jackass. I think as a society, maybe we should be looking more towards the greater good again instead of the individual. But
my chat wanted to see the drama llama. We had to talk while Vibe kicked me out, and this is the drama llama.
So, Cleaner, would it be fair to say that secular people have a merit-based meaning system, whereas religious people have a participation trophy-based merit system or meaning system?
I don't think it's exactly like that. I think each side would have merit systems set up of some kind, right? Like, I mean, obviously Christianity or Catholicism or Judaism, any of these, the merit system would be sin or not sin, right? But within secular society, I wouldn't really know what their merit system would be, considering that nobody's allowed to fail. Everybody gets a trophy no matter what in school. So I don't really know what they would tout as their trophy system anymore.
But that's
it's been watered down.
That's what his argument is if all you do is remorselessly say "I'm sorry" right before you die, then the merit.
I think it's more like Christianity system is constant. It's the same reason the whole time. I think
you don't think Jesus changed that?
I think secular, reasoning or purpose changes. Mm-hmm. It constantly changes throughout time, right? Like through stages of life or interests, right? So it's like this constant seek of purpose, right? And while Christianity is just this constant purpose.
No, yeah.
No, that's a good way to put it.
So each purpose that you try to cling to is still wrong, and then you need to just get right. So hurry up.
I think the thing is religions necessarily have a merit-based system. They have to, because sin or not sin is a merit of a kind. So I mean that is a necessity of religion. Now, I would say secularism, on the other hand, you don't necessarily have to have a merit-based system to just live and survive or thrive or any of that. You could just be moving along in your life, not giving a damn if you're achieving goals or any of that, and survive until you get old and gray and, pass from natural causes. It's really, it's a hard question to answer. It is. For the secular side, at least. It's possible to have some kind of merit system, but it's also possible most people just don't care in the secular world. It's possible.
And not to go off topic here, but
Damn llamas.
Taylor, I did not actually kick you. You went off screen, and then I kept on looking. Beth was saying you were backstage, but in Talk Studio, you were not showing up. As soon as you showed up, I put you back on. So
That's what I hear out of all the Christians.
there was no rage kick there.
It's cool. Me, Drama Llama, my chat. We've been kicking it. Why didn't God bless you with a drama llama?
Actually, to be honest with you, I told him just to leave you back there a little longer.
Glenn, did you see my drama llama?
I mean, I do like the drama llama for real, though.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, like I do have a llama picture, but it's not like that. But he has glasses on.
You have a llama. You have a llama with glasses too?
Yeah, but mine is smoking weed.
Put it up in the background. We gotta have matching llamas.
Heathenism.
Mine's in the living room, but yeah, I'll switch up the pictures.
Good deal.
Dusty, do you have a pair of glasses like that?
Yeah, somewhere around
aviators. Here. Who doesn't have a pair of aviators?
I got like two pairs in each car.
I was just curious if that drama llama was a self-portrait.
Here's the thing: I don't like smoking weed.
So we got I got mine from the Token Choke movie. It was on set. It was a picture on set, and I snapped it.
Where we heard. Okay.
So yeah, no. Shout out to Glenn, my new llama bro.
Llama for life.
See, this is where meaning comes from. It comes from drama llama.
Next week, we all need to have drama llamas in the background. It's settled.
Hey, and good call there, Taylor. Having a cross over your head on the wall. Good call, buddy.
Damn, would you look at that? Limp Bizkit really came through.
Hey, you hear that they're in never mind, that's a different topic. $200 million settlement right now.
Way to represent, bro. Way to represent.
With who? Actually, Fred Durst is a Christian.
UMG, Universal Music Group.
I did not hear that. That's a lot of money.
Well, they said they never got paid any of their royalties.
Any of it?
Wow.
Any of them. They've been living off of, according to Fred, they've been living off of them what they made on for the concert tours. But
that's
none
crazy.
of their. And so basically when they got their contract, now I'm derailing this topic right now. We'll talk later.
Okay. Do I need to send you some money too?
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, you do. For me, just for me. No, I'm kidding.
Right.
We'll talk on Wednesday about that. We're having did you get sent out the meeting? Okay, good.
I posted about it. Not that anybody.
All right, guys.
Can we get back on topic, people? You guys are derailing.
Yeah, because I wanted to say something real quick to Tyler because he was bringing up the.
Go ahead.
He was bringing up the, bedside. The bedside conversion, on the deathbed. And I think that a lot of Christians, kind of at least, we recognize that in order for that kind of thing to work, there has to be a true repentance within the heart. So it's not just lip speak, right? That kind of change is something that isn't, I don't know. Just because someone says it when they're on their deathbed doesn't mean that it actually makes a difference.
Yeah, we already went over the intent. It has to come from the true intention in your heart. But if you have that, right before you die, you're like, oh, I truly feel remorse for all the bad things I did. It is kind of
it's a raw deal. I don't like it.
Congratulations, Hitler. You hit the lottery.
I hate that. Do you really think Hitler actually felt bad about a goddamn thing he ever did?
I don't know. I'm not God. Only Christians claim that.
He'd have to actually feel bad about
only Christians pretend to know the mind of God. I don't.
If the thing was damned by God, then I don't think Hitler would have felt bad about it. No.
Ooh.
All right. Well, I hate to do this to you guys, but
No, you
I
don't.
do need
You
to get you
thrilled
guys to
to.
wrap up your conversations because it's family time for me. I know, Beth, you went in there. Yeah, I don't think Hitler remorsed in his heart on his deathbed, and it's not just words.
See,
And
there the
by
Christians
way,
ago
Tyler,
again, knowing what God knows.
we don't know
We're
God's
only
mind.
we're,
I
we're
just said
commenting
I
to his
think,
repentance. That's all.
and the
That
book
doesn't
actually
mean
says
God
it.
isn't going to make some kind of weird, fucked up
Yap,
exception
yap,
or
yap, yap.
who knows what.
All I know
All
is
right,
if
Tyler.
my mom's up there, I want to go somewhere else.
You and me both.
Thank you for having me. Vibe salute to the panel, salute to all the chats. It's been a pleasure,
Likewise.
even if it is a little bit chaotic sometimes, and I tend to bring the chaos, but y'all need it because
I'm
y'all
working
are
on it.
lying to yourself.
Dusty, you made me cry, laugh. Really good. So thank you for that. Thank you, Vibe, for the invite as always. To my fellow panelists, you guys are wonderful. Love you all. And to the chat out there, chat always wins, right?
For
See you
sure.
next
And
Sunday.
still need that one more subscriber. Damn it. I
Let's
want to get to the
go.
triple
Who's
digits.
slacking? I'll bring
Somebody
you
in my
up.
chat, go over to Vibe's channel and subscribe now.
I'm out of here, guys. Good night.
Thank you, Beth.
Somebody, if you haven't subscribed, I'm not leaving until someone subscribes.
And Anson, just to give you a heads up, bro. Marilyn is definitely your type of fucking insane.
Oh, are we playing matchmaker now?
No, I just saw him kind of joking around with Marilyn in the chat, and I know what he does. So
We do.
I have a debate with
Everybody-
Marilyn on Teriak's channel.
it's not going to go good.
No, I already did it.
Oh, you already did it. Okay.
Yeah.
It
And
didn't go good.
It was
did it?
almost word for word as the same one as
Anthony, I will host the debate on my channel. Okay.
Rob Noor did. I think we all we both hit the same points.
She believes she is God.
I know. I heard. And you know what? Bless her heart. Just bless her heart.
That's what I said. I said, bless you, but I think there's something missing here.
I don't know how to get a hold of Marilyn Anson, but
She's in my chat right now.
well,
Yeah,
he's
she's
talking to me on my. He's in my chat right now. Anson's in my
Oh,
chat.
is he in yours too now?
She's the long lost prophet the Jews have been waiting for the entire time.
Well, you
Oh
know,
my God.
I mean, think
Well,
about it. Like
The
some
Jews have their Messiah. She's just not Jewish.
some Orthodox. They host they have a female saint, right? Mary of Egypt. So I mean, she maybe.
I'm going to go with no.
I'm okay. I'm with you, but you know, I was trying to be nice,
I don't care about being nice.
kind, gentle. You know,
Gentle. He's gentle.
like I don't know. We're all gods. Oh, I ain't claiming that. Now, just because somebody says that a lot, during certain, never mind. I gotta go. Peace out.
We hit that 100. So, all right, your guys' closing.
I got you on all three of my accounts. Everything I said was right, and you can follow me on my channel.
We're gonna have to do some non-Christian debates. You and I.
Oh, I'm on Grid Show every week. I'll do debates if you ever want to do one. I'll step down from judging.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Tyler's fun to debate with. He a lot of fun. I've done a couple of them with him, and I had a blast.
Yeah, it's a good time. I won't insult you. I try to take your best points and try to fight those instead of look for little cracks in the armor like you see so much online right now. I just don't like it.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Very good faith debater too. Willing to engage in a question and then give a question back afterwards. And it's a really, really free flowing debate with him. It's a lot of fun, man.
But I will see you guys next Sunday. I'm going to eat dinner. I made beef stroganoff with chickpea noodles and healthy sour cream and such. So I'm going to go eat my healthy meal.
If you
Very
haven't
yummy.
already, sub up to Vibe.
Already, all three of my accounts are already on him. All right, stay up.
All right, thanks, guys. Any final thoughts there?
That's it. Sub up to Vibe. And hitting the like button has been proven to reduce the chances of getting erectile dysfunction and breast cancer.
I heard that's true. All right,
Stay safe.
thank you, Cleaner. All right, to everybody out there, I did remove a few names that didn't show up for today's thing, and thanks for everybody that did subscribe. Want to make sure you guys are subscribing to all my panelists. Make sure you screenshot this if you like anything that anybody says. Talk to them, have fun with them. I think the show is definitely getting better. We'll work on something even better next week. We are getting into the crazy debates, and we are starting with the devil next week. I think it's going to be a killer episode. Singular topic and something everybody can stay on. And I think there's going to be a lot of heated debates. So make sure to tune in next week. Make sure to subscribe, hit that like button. And I am out to spend some family time with my wife and kids. All right. Have a nice night.